Hey guys, I just want to make sure you have the notes for today, which is the 9.3b. This is a continuation of what we did on Friday for 9.3a, where we did the OR probability. This is going to be a combination of OR and the conditional, which was the givens. So make sure you're reading each question carefully so that you are doing the correct formula for the probability that's being asked. On letter A, if you're looking at the first example, this is that red car, not red car, speeding ticket, no speeding ticket. I want to make sure you're seeing where these are indicated. So on the table where it says and, make sure you see the two lines that intersect with red car. So go to red car, draw yourself your arrows like we did before. Notice the total for red car is 150. And then speeding ticket, we said the total for speeding ticket at the end there was going to be the 60. And where those two overlap, that is the and portion, because these are the people that had a red car and a speeding ticket. So if you notice, the answer here says 15 over 665. Where the 665 come from, it's from the grand total, which is down here. Okay, so just keep in mind that all of these probabilities in the table are going to be based off the grand total in that bottom right corner. So 15 over 665 is the correct answer for letter A. And again, make sure you're reducing your fractions so that you are getting 3 over 133, and that your probability is the decimal of 0.02. Okay, I think it's like 0.022 repeating on the calculator, but this should be your reduced and also your rounded answer. Excuse me. All right, letter B. This one's asking you to do OR. So notice the formula for OR is up here. They kind of indicated where they have the P probability of A plus probability of B, and then subtracting out the probability of the A and B. Okay, so the first thing I'm looking at is what were the red car, which we mentioned before, the 150. What was the probability of speeding ticket, which would have been the 60 total, excuse me. And then A and B subtracted. Remember, this is going to be the combination of where they intersect, which we know is that 15. So in this case, we're actually going to use all of these to calculate the OR probability using the numbers in the table. So the first one being probability of A, which was red car. So that's that 150. Here's the speeding ticket total, which is the 60. And then the total between the two, the intersection, I should say, there's that 15. And notice all of these are over the grand total number. So the way they wrote them was the individual fractions divided by 665. Technically, you can just do 150 plus 60 minus 15 all over 665. And that also gives you the same result. So if you do the 2 addition here, that's going to be what, 210 minus the 15, that should be 195 over 665, and that is the correct fraction. Don't forget to reduce it. So this ends up being 39 over 133 for the reduced fraction, and then your decimal answer being the 120 or 0.29. Okay. So in each case, make sure you are reducing the fraction and giving the correct decimal answer for your probability. All right. So there's an and, there's an or. And then don't forget about these guys, because these were the ones that we kind of had a little bit of fun with. And this was let me get rid of those. I just realized those were kind of sitting there. The marble problem. So they said 5 red marbles and they're numbered 1 through 5. And then you have 10 red marble or blue marbles numbered 1 through 10. So if you didn't draw these out up here, that's okay. Maybe you can do it mentally, but I personally feel like this is necessary for me to at least get my head wrapped around what are they asking for. Okay. So on letter A, this one says they want to choose a probability of the marble being red or an odd numbered marble. Okay. So as long as I can see that there are so many reds, and we already indicated there are 5 of those, or they could be odd numbered, which means I can include the ones over there in the blue side, but only the ones that are odd. So as long as I'm looking at those, there should be 5 of those as well. And if I did this in the correct manner, this is the OR probability. So I have to look at each of those individually. So if I'm looking at the red, there were 5 out of a total of 15 marbles. And then if you're looking at the odd number, just odd, and this is kind of where it gets a little weird. There were 5 odd over there, but then there's 3 odd over here. Okay, so that makes a total of 8. And then we have to consider which ones were the overlap. Well, ones that were odd and red, well, that's these guys. So that's why we have to look at how many were the overlap, and that was the 3. So on your fractions, just keep in mind that you have to look at them individually first. So we got the red marble being 5, odd altogether, red and blue odds are 8, and then the ones that were red and blue only, the overlapping, that's the 3 that I have there. So just keep in mind that that's how we came up with those numbers. And again, they're all over 15. So if you decide to do 5 plus 8 minus 3 all over just 115, that would be fine because they are the same denominator, which does reduce to 2 over 3. But realistically, you would have 10 over 15 if you were just to do the 5 plus 8 minus 3 and put it over 15. So that if you have 10 over 15 reduced, that's the 2/3. So I'm not sure why they didn't do it on that one. But this is the final reduced fraction. And then you also have your decimal answer of 0.67. Okay, 0.66 repeating, which 0.67. Okay. Letter B. Same idea here, this one. This says blue and even. So remember, this is just the overlaps. When they use the word and, it's the ones that are both. So if I'm just looking at how many blue are there, that's these guys over here. And how many of those are going to be even? And you can kind of see, here's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I count 5 that are both blue and even. So that's the ones I would consider as the overlap. So maybe I should have probably underlined those. That way you can see where the overlap is. Okay, so there's your 5 out of a total of 15, because remember, we still have to consider there's these guys in the bag or jar. So there's still 15 marbles in the jar, but of those, there's only 5 that are both blue and even. Okay, so the overlapping ones. Okay. Reduce that, you get 1/3, and then 0.33 obviously is going to be your decimal answer for your probability. All right, next page. There's some more of the table ones where we have some givens. So got to remember what we did on 9-2. And I think for the most part, when we did the givens, a lot more people were getting these towards the end here. So if you're looking at how these are set up, remember that each question that says given is a intersection of the 2 items that they're referring to. So the 2 events. And in this case, they want to know male and earned a C from the table up above. So if you are male and earned a C, that's the one we're looking for. So those are technically the winners here. So male earned a C. And if that's the case, then I just take a look at the overlap in this case, which is 7. And then remember that the total is going to be the total for that first event, which is earned a C. Because remember, they said given that they already earned a C. So that's the thing that happened first. So the total for C was 20. And so I'm going to use those two numbers to set up my fraction and put 7 over 20 and then reduce it if I can and get my decimal of 0.35 when I divide 7 and 20. Okay. Letter B, another given. So this time they said make sure that we're looking for females that earned a B. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these arrows here. So female earned a B. So that means this line needs to come down to the female line. So that's a total of 30 for a female. And earned a B, that comes over here. So now I'm going to adjust this. So that's a total of 15. And since earned a B is the total we want, that's the bottom number. And the overlap comes down here where the blue and the red intersect. So now my fraction should read 5 over 15 if I did this correctly. Female and earned a B. All right, so to be clear, the last one, letter B, says find the probability of finding a female given that they earned a B. That's the one we just did, which is the 5 over 15. Okay, now that's different than letter C. Letter C says find the probability that the person we select is female and they earned an A. So now we have to remember that A and female, these are the intersections. So we have to move the arrows. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So female and A is going to be there. Now, this is not a given, so I have to be really careful about this one. The intersection is what we're after on this one because they use the word and. So I'm going to change my little color coding here. This is the and just make note that this means both of these at the same time. So that's the overlap, okay? But we also have to remember that this is going to go over the total, but it's not like the givens where it's just the total of the first event. This is two separate events, and the grand total is what we're after here. So over here where it says 56, that's the total we're going to use when they say the word and. Incidentally, it's also the one we use when they say the word or. Okay, so just remember that for givens, we're using the total for either the row or the column, but for and or, we're using the grand total. So if I did this correctly, I'm going to get rid of that 15 there. We should have these two numbers, the 12 and the 56, and that is correct. Okay, for the last one, for the sake of time, I went ahead and moved the arrows already. And just remember that this is the or problem. So anytime they use the word or, again, we're using the grand total. So we have actually 3 probabilities to consider. And the first one being that you have the male. So that would be the 26 over 56. You'd also have to look at how many of these earned an A, which is the 21 over 56. And then how many were male and earned an A, and that's the 9 over 56. So we actually have to, remember, do some addition, and then we're going to subtract the intersection. So that's what these are about, and then we should be good to go here. So here's male. Here's, male was the blue line. Earned an A was the red line, and then between the two, remember that was the or, the overlap, the intersection. So here's the fractions. Just as a reminder that the 26 was the male number. So that's the one I have here on this fraction. So 26 out of 56. And again, they did this all in one fraction, which is the way I'd prefer to do it. And then 21 was the number of people that earned an A, and 9 was the number of people that were male and earned an A. So as long as you're adding the two first probabilities and subtracting out the intersection, that should give you a total of 38 over 56, which is the correct probability. And then don't forget to reduce and give the decimal answer. Okay, that should be it, guys. Hopefully this helps. Please go ahead and continue and do the assignment for 9.3b, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.